Good morning, Keller Williams, MCTTs Unleashed, here with my buddy Peter. And excuse me, we're having technical difficulties of a different sort, trying to figure out our headphones this morning. I believe we're good. It looks like the audio is working and we're good. So awesome. Let's get started. Peter, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Let me turn you up. That would help.
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
It's like it's the first time we've done this, huh?
Well, you know how it is.
And the awesomeness of having an office near 41, we can hear all kinds of road noises. This is fantastic. But whatever. We still have an amazing show lined up for you today. And excuse me. Jeez. One of the things we're going to talk about today, actually the main topic of the show, is we're going to break a little bit from the norm. We're not going to have any demonstration today. We are going to talk about the role of the Market Center Tech Trainer. And are we the tech guys or are we the business coaches?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
It's certainly both. So, I mean, I look after 5 market centers remotely, along with assistance from some of our team within the offices.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the role of coaching agents falls within the MCTT role as well, even though it doesn't quite say it in the title. We do help agents with success, and we help them with systems and models. So I think there's more to it than just that's the fix-it guy,
right,
for the problem with Command that's come up today, or problems that come up with DocuSign today.
Right.
I mean, we do that, and it's a valuable part of what we do, but there's so much more, and I think it's a good idea to kind of broadcast that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, the other thing, I don't think a lot of our agents know that some of us are licensed. You know, like in my case, I've been a licensed, fairly successful agent for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of experience to help them in their business. And I've had the failures and the successes. So, you know, there's a lot to draw from there.
Yeah. I mean, I opened my own brokerage in 1998, ran that for 10 years until 2008 when we had the crash, then switched to property management for about another 9 years, and then went back into sales. So I've got, 20, 25 years, however long that is, of failures and successes, which can really help an agent who's new, or nearly new, if you like,
right,
help them to avoid some of the pitfalls that I just went straight into.
How did you like property management?
Oh, well, it was hell. I mean, it requires a lot of Xanax. That's all.
You could not pay me enough to do property management.
It was really, really difficult. We had 24/7 call outs. We'd drunk owners with problems in the middle of the night calling us to fix their golf channel or something. It was a real challenge. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good business. If you're dealing with long-term rentals mainly, I think it can be okay, but it's a challenging position. But we were doing short-term as well, because this was just before Airbnb came in. We were using HomeAway and VRBO for the rental source.
Yeah.
And then we were the managers, like the host, looking after the guests in the owner's properties. So it was like running a hotel over 25 miles.
Jeez.
It was a real challenge. But we did it because of 2008, because we went from mortgages were available, suddenly we can't get people financed. The market's, just in turmoil. So we pivoted into management, which was good because we got to buy and sell real estate through the rentals, as the owners wanted to let properties go and other people wanted to buy them, through the banks or whatever. It was mainly through the banks back then.
And you sought out Mickey Mouse in the downturn, right?
We were very, very close to the mouse. Yes, the big mouse.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We're going to bring in a special guest. I'm super excited to bring her on. This is the first time we've brought a guest on. So she will no doubt be amazing source of information for our audience. And so I'm just going to go ahead and bring her in right now, Miss Dora Cherico.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Good morning, Dora. Yeah, absolutely. And Dora is our Market Center Tech Trainer of the Year for 2022.
Yay.
Hey. So Dora, why don't you give us a little introduction, and then we've got some questions for you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for having me on today. This is the first time I've ever done a podcast. So I don't have your cool fancy mic and headphones. So you're just gonna have to go with this.
You're doing good.
But I do know a guy. Yeah, I do know a guy that could hook me up, Mr. Bishop. So my name is Dora Cherico. I am the Market Center Tech Trainer in Wellington, Florida. And I have been in this role since 2020.
Awesome. All right. So first question, how does it feel to be Trainer of the Year?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was shocked. Shocked. It feels good. I feel very happy about it. We put in a lot of work, so it's always awesome that your peers, can see that as well. So I love that. I am a little freaked out. I'm not going to lie, because now I need to know, like, what am I going to do for 2023 to represent, right? So I can't just let it go downhill from here, right? So so I'm very happy about it. Just still in shock about it, to tell you the truth. So
awesome. Well, I know personally, I've seen you train a couple of times, and really, because I'll just be fully transparent. Yes, I voted for you.
So did I.
Well, you can't say you did it now. Jeez, that'd be embarrassing.
But I've been in your Market Center often, and the way that you are, agents will pop in, knock on the door, and you're just always there for them to help them. And you have a very motherly quality about you as you're helping them. And so it shows that you really care, for sure.
Yeah. It's the reason why I continue to do what I'm doing, and why I've done several roles in the Market Center. So it's all about the agent for me.
So let's talk about that. You have held several roles in the Market Center, right?
I have.
Let us know what they are.
Sure. So I started off in 2013 as an admin to a team. That was April of 2013. And then I knew I was going to get my license. So I got my license June of 2013. So I'm still an active realtor. Well, I'm not really selling, so I'm active for family and friends, if you will. So I've been licensed for 9 years, 10 years. And I was an admin, went to the buyer's agent spot, and then worked for 2 rainmakers, and then became the ATL in our Market Center, and then the team leader. And then I stepped away for just a few months for a personal issue, and then came back as the Market Center Tech Trainer. They asked me what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I want to be the tech trainer, because I love, love, love this role.
Awesome. So assistant team leader to team leader. So I think that kind of sets up the business coach that the Market Center Tech Trainer is, right? Yeah. And not every tech trainer is going to have that background. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, how those roles help you as a business coach on the Market Center Tech Trainer side of things?
So it's kind of funny. I have to be honest with you. I hate the title of Market Center Tech Trainer. And I'm not a title person, but we do so much more. You guys know, like, I am a business coach. I am helping them with their business. I've ran several teams prior to being at Keller Williams for other businesses. So that is my wheelhouse. So I know how to do it and know how to grow it. So if I can help build an agent's business, one piece at a time, that's where I thrive, and what I love to see. That's what makes me come in every day. So
what's an example of what you coach on? Is it on the models, on the systems? Is it MREA?
A little bit of everything. It's a little bit of everything, actually, Peter, because everybody's different. So I meet them at where they're at in their business, right? So if you're a brand new agent, we start small and break it down, and talk about the most important things, and we have to have conversations about your website's not your most important things, your contacts are. Let's get those, rolling and stuff. So my very first thing I do with everybody, though, is I get to know them a little bit, and I want to know what their goals are. And then I hate to use the word push, because I can't think of a better word, but I push them to get to their why. I encourage them. I even ask Brett, I encourage them to really dig deep into why they're doing this. If I don't know what their goals are in their life and in their business, I don't feel I can help them to their full potential. So to answer your question, it's different. It's different for everybody and where we start them off at. So I've worked with, single agents just starting out, not having a clue, to teams that just weren't running well as a team, and coach them through their business and things that they can do and key pieces to put in place. It's not always about the people.
Have you been implementing the 201 plus strategy with new agents?
Yes. Yeah. So right now I do it. I do a command onboarding. And then I'll do a follow-up to the 201. I find that it's a little bit difficult to do both of those together. I just started it, and I would like to revamp it so that it's that it's working better. Because right now I was before doing that, I was doing classes. I was doing like a 201 class and grow your business and changing the name a million times, and people are just still like, how it is to get people to come to class sometimes. So that's a challenge, and so if I do a little bit at a time and one person at a time, I find I can make more movement that way. Then,
So,
what I mean?
In our market centers, what I've found is to go along to the all agent team meetings and have a small section of that to talk about 201 is a good way of spreading the word. And it's a joint effort between the team leader, the ATL, MCTT, whatever role I'm in. It's a joint effort amongst all the leadership to be able to encourage each agent to look at who do they know and who should they be putting into their database. And I think so far it's been a success, because I think that demonstration, I don't know if we've got the slide or whether we can show it this time, but there's $119,000 in GCI on average being earned from 201 contacts in your database. So I think it's a really cool thing that you're doing there.
So we did start that, Peter. We did the same thing. We had it at a team meeting and I introduced it there. And I always start with the money piece of it. Like how much money do you guys want to, make? It's always 100,000. The magic number is always 100,000 for most, newer people or whatever. So I work it backwards, because people listen when it's money. If I just started out of the gate with, you got to put 201 contacts in your database and then you got to do this, so I start backwards. And I'm like, try to get their buy-in. Do you want to know how to do it, right? Build their curiosity. And of course, people always want to know if you're building curiosity.
And have you had challenges where agents think they don't know 201 people and it's just like an impossible task? What strategy did you implement to help them learn who their people are?
Well, I just say, open your phone, pull out your phone.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, because how many people have less than 201 contacts in their phone?
Yeah, not many.
I haven't come across anybody yet.
Around 2,000.
Well, that's just it, right? So like start there, and then, sometimes people have a hard time thinking out of the box sometimes too. So like you get people that just move here. Everybody moves here from Florida, right? And they're like, I don't know anybody here. And I'm like, but do you know people in other places in the country? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start there. So
I love how Dora is so good at always teeing things up for me. So one of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes is the memory joggers, and we've got two of them. So if you are a part of the MCTTs Unleashed Facebook group, it's there in the files for you, both of those memory joggers, and it goes into detail and thinking outside the box like Dora's talking about. So who cuts your hair, who mows your lawn, who do you buy your gasoline from, which is kind of crazy, but I don't know, you might have a connection with the clerk at Wawa or something like that, Yeah,
or Duncan, Brett.
They're also in the Safe Harbor group where we're streaming this as well. In the files section of the Safe Harbor group, Facebook group, we've got those two documents there right where you can download them and put them to use. Yeah, absolutely. So Dora, you were culture chair last year, correct?
I was.
So since you were, I'm actually going to have you, we always do a culture element to each episode, and we normally do it right away, but I was excited to get you on here, and it's perfect because you can do it for us. Today we've gone through the entire MVVBP, and so we're back to our Keller Williams mission. And Dora, you want to read that off to everybody?
Yes, absolutely. To build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. And that is my favorite line.
Awesome. So Dora and I also have this friendly competition to see who can make each other cry the most in public. So so since you
Pretty
again,
easy.
you teed it up.
I did. Oh God, I'm gonna kill you.
So why is Legacies Worth Leaving your favorite part, and how does that show up in your office as well? So it could be a two-part question or the same.
It is. So for me, it's about what can I leave for my children, right? Why am I working so hard? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I setting this up, right? It's so that I can leave it for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, so I talk about that, right? So I'm very, I do get emotional about it, but I'm very raw and I'm very open. And I think, when I'm meeting with people, when I'm talking about their whys, this is part of that why. It usually leads to the legacy worth leaving. Why are they doing this, right?
Yep.
So it's a tough one, Brett. Like you didn't tell me you were going to bring this to me. I'll get my tissue out.
That was a surprise, and we're going to be bringing somebody else on here in a minute. And between the two of you, nobody's made me have to dig deeper to figure out my why. So the two of you collectively, I think, make me cry more than anybody does. But that's okay. They're good tears. They're tears from a happy place. So it's awesome. So couple of questions, and then we're gonna bring our next guest in with us, and all four of us will be here and just kind of have some conversation about the MCTT and the tech person versus the business coach. So, Dora, what is your favorite part of the role?
Helping other agents. So I'll give you an example. I have an agent I've been working with since I was a team leader, and I started doing, I was coaching the top 20%. And I had a team, double rainmaker team, and they were just coasting, right? So I was able not to only help her with her business and grow her business by coaching sessions, but also it's kind of silly, but I also helped her with some things in her personal life that was in my wheelhouse, right? So I got to see her, and I see her thrive now, and I see where she's at with all of that, and I love being able to coach people on their business, and I don't even know what to say about that. Like, it's just, I'm not a tech trainer. I coach you on your business.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the MCTTs are actually a collective group across Florida. We have relationships with each other and support each other. And when there's challenges and goals that we're trying to achieve around coaching, we discuss that within our group.
Yeah.
And everybody is helping everybody in the background. It's just not seen by the agents, but an MCTT is not a standalone person by any means. They come with a wealth of connections to other MCTTs, to the RTTs, and across the technology network within Keller Williams.
Yeah.
So I think every one of us brings a lot to the table collectively, and then within the office, our personal experiences, like Brett was saying. We've all been in real estate. We're all licensed. We're all able to sell. It's not like we're coming to you saying, well, this is a book I'm going to teach you about how to be a productive agent. In most cases, we've done it. Yeah.
So we're drawn on experience.
Yeah.
I don't think, to Peter's point, I don't think a lot of people realize that certainly the four that are on this episode today, and there's quite a few others, we literally start every day together.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in a more active chat since AOL in the 90s.
What's that? I've never heard of it.
A bulletin board. Are you Gen X? I think you're borderline Gen X.
I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, right? That's how we start the day. Like that gives me the motivation and the encouragement. And what Peter was saying was, I love that this group has something different. While I'm not necessarily the most tech savvy person on the back end of stuff, but what I do know is people, and that's what I'm good at. So like I bring that. Peter brings a different wealth of knowledge. Brett, you bring a different wealth of knowledge. Like all of us in this group have our former lives. That is a different piece that we collectively come together and grow each other personally, but in our own role, right? So we're business coaching each other, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, but all of it's down to service to the agents. At the end of the day, we're here to serve. And whatever the challenges the agent's facing, we've got the resources to tap into to help resolve those challenges, but also to set goals, like you were saying. Why are you in this? Why are you doing it? What's your reason why? What is your mission? And in many cases, it is to build something to pass down to family. You know, the actual overall goal of what we're doing, and that's why your database has value. It really does.
I don't think a lot of agents realize that their database is a book of business. You can literally sell your real estate business. It happens, right? I mean, I've seen it. It's happened here in my market center a couple of times. It's been years ago, but it's a book of business, like an insurance company or anything.
I was in insurance sales right at the very, very beginning of my career. I did about 4 years selling insurance, and your book was literally your legacy. You could sell it, and I think with people actually being intentional and purposeful about building a database and having those contacts, those met contacts and relationships, I think, 10, 15 years from now, agents will be selling their databases for good money, for a multiple of the incomes that it brings in. So I think part of what the seed that we planted is to give agents another income source when they head towards retirement. So it's an important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we got to think bigger as agents, right? And building the 201 Plus Club is how we start getting intentional about that. So, Miss Dora, what is your least favorite part of the role?
Well, it's kind of a two-part. From the agent's perspective, we struggle, and this is total transparency. I just need you to show up, and I'm going to show you how it's done. But I can't come to get you I can't drive my truck over to get you and pick you up and bring you to the office. I mean, I could, but not when you have 240 agents, right? So I'm like, how do we get them to be present and show up, right? It's not that it's my least favorite. It's the struggle that we have the most that I have the most as an MCTT, because I'll help you. I'll get you there. You just got to show up, right? And then
is that getting better since the pandemic started to decline? Absolutely, and less Zoom. Because I don't do Zoom classes anymore. You got to come into my market center if you want to sit with me in one of my classes. Only because
I've gone that way too, and nobody's shown up yet.
Well, I'm slowly getting trickling in. Certain classes, it's like full, and then other classes, I struggle. I'm not the only one. It's a common thing. So, but I always ask people to invite a friend too. I'm like, don't come empty-handed. Bring your friend. Awesome. So my other challenge, that the least favorite part, is trying to, I guess, fighting for our role and letting people. I don't have that issue in my market center. I've been blessed to have owners and TL broker to understand that.
You have a great team over there.
We do. I have a great team. But it's still like, I feel like we're still always fighting for this position. Right. So I hoping that this spreads some light on everybody on, we don't just come in and help you turn on your computer. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not what we do.
I'm so glad you said that. And that right there is literally why we wanted to do this episode, is so that leadership and agents can understand. And it's one of the missions of this podcast too, is to make everybody aware of the importance and the validity of the role. And I don't mean important like all of us are, more important than anybody, but the role is so important because we're not just the tech guy or the tech girl, we're actually business.
That's what they introduced me as, tech girl. I'm like, really, come on.
It's so funny. There's been a couple of new agents come into my office, and it's over the years, and they're like, "Oh, you're the tech guy. I struggle with technology so much. We're gonna be best friends." No, we're not. I am here to help you with your technology as it pertains to real estate. If you can't turn on your computer, there's a class for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't teach it.
I think what we're all focused on ultimately is productivity.
Yep.
So if we can help agents implement systems and models to lead to productivity, then we're doing what we're meant to do. And we have to accept that there are hurdles with all software. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. When there's new software, new changes, there's always glitches, there's always problems. Like using this system we use with StreamYard, I've had it kick me out. I've had, different things happen with different platforms. But I think as long as we demonstrate our real value, which is more business for the agents and growing their businesses in a really, the American term is systematized way. That's not an English word. I think it's the first time I said it.
What is your word?
Systemized.
Yeah, it is, the American way is systematized. And when I say that, people laugh at me. I'm like, no, that's really the word. Go look it up.
Yeah. I have to speak 2 languages.
You're bilingual.
Both of them happen to be English. So I mean, the end of the day, what differentiates Keller Williams from the other places is, one, we have offices, right? We forget that a lot of these new entities out there have no infrastructure. They have nowhere to go for training. So our main unique selling point is we have a place to call home and to come in and learn from. And one of the key people that provides that training is the MCTT. So that's the training part. Then the second part is we're a company of systems and models, which the other organizations have tried to replicate, but don't really have right. And they're not really keeping it up to date.
Right.
So I think if you look at what we do in our role to help agents, we're kind of like the blade. We're the cutting edge of making sure that those systems and models are implemented in the market centers. So I think it's a great role. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. That's what I have
Can
to
I
say.
put that on a t-shirt, Peter? We are the blades.
We're the blades.
So it's funny that Peter brought that up about other companies trying to duplicate our systems and models. I'm about to bring on our next guest. We talked about leadership too, and we just went through an awesome servant leadership program because of this guy. And talking about the other companies in trying to duplicate what it is that they haven't done, and I've heard our next guest talk to us about this before, is they haven't earned the right to get creative because they haven't mastered the systems and models. And I think that's why it doesn't work as well. So let me go ahead and bring on our next guest, Ryan Yarbrough, who is our regional tech trainer here in South Florida. Ryan, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
You guys
Excited to have you here.
Morning,
so what was that?
You guys are having some fun this morning, huh?
We always have fun on this show. It's kind of laid back, but we talk about serious stuff. We pepper in some culture because that's what makes Keller Williams Keller Williams.
And that's what makes Brett.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So before you go on real quick, I do want to take an opportunity, since I'm right here, is thank you very, very much for doing this. I appreciate you guys taking this and going to a next step. You don't know where this is going to go, and you just got to keep doing it. And the fact that you're doing it and where you're coming from is amazing, because you're coming from our culture, you're coming from our standards, and you're displaying that on every single call. Look at what you started the call off with.
Yeah. Thank you very
He's
much.
gonna
I
need a
appreciate
tissue.
that. Yeah, I told you these two always
Give him a tissue.
try to get the tears flowing. No, but I really appreciate that, Ryan. And this might be what actually pushes the tears over the top. That culture in this community is because of you as our regional tech trainer.
I agree.
You worked hard to put this community together, and we are a big family because of
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
And I got Dora going.
I love our family. And you know what the bigger challenge is? The bigger challenge is keeping it together. And that's really what my focus is right now, is making sure we keep ourselves together. Because if you think about it, it's like any great sports team, right? So I'm in the Tampa Bay area, and we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going through the same struggles right now, where we've got different leadership coming into different places. You've got different players on the team that go in different places. You got your star quarterback leaves. What's going to happen to that team now? Well, it's the same thing here. We've got star players in our MCTT roles that some of them come and some of them go. I mean, you're looking at a couple of them right here. Dora, she's trainer of the year. Brett, keeps on getting our culture award. And I mean, Peter, he was really, really high up for the rookie of the year. He's come in strong. And he's been amazing. So
It's probably because he's British. That's probably what it was.
well, my vote was I wanted to hear him all the time talk, but the main point here is we've got some major players, but do I feel like these players are always going to be there? No. And Ariel Hernandez has been an amazing trainer for us in our region, a big piece of it. And he's changing his direction on his thought of where he wants to go right now with his career. He's still an MCTT. He still wants to be an MCTT, but he's got big aspirations. So he's kind of taking a different focus, and that's great. I want everybody to be themselves and be able to do what they want. But now somebody else has got to step up.
Yeah, it's funny you bring Ariel up because I actually invited Ariel today, but he had previous appointments that he couldn't get away from. But he's going to be delivering our good news of whatever gets learned at Family Reunion. So he'll be on our episode right after Family Reunion.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I'd love to come on as well. If you've got a spot open, I'll come in and hang out with them.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for sure.
We're looking forward to doing a podcast right after Family Reunion with all the updates that are coming. So we're not going to spoil it because we don't know exactly what they are, but we've heard some pretty awesome rumors. So let's hope that we have something exciting to talk about in a couple of weeks.
So I'd like to get our regional tech trainers' thoughts and comments on the Market Center Tech Trainer or the RTT, because I'm sure it affects you too, just at a different level. But what are your thoughts on our roles being looked at as the tech person versus the business coach?
I think it's bigger than that. I don't think it's. I think that's just two aspects of the job. You're a business coach. You're a tech person, but I think the word tech person is kind of a loose term because when we go into tech, there's all different fields in tech as well. So are you a programmer? No. Are you the printer person? No. Are you the
Dora and I are like, yes, we use the printer all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's me. Just this morning.
Are you the networking person? No. And yet Brett will shake his head again and say, yes, I'm the network. I mean, there's all these different pieces when it comes to tech. I don't think that that's specific. What a tech person in our role is specifically supposed to be focused on is I'm the person who has the knowledge of command that will help you build your business, which again leaks into being a business coach, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a multifaceted role that takes on many, many different fields. And I think it's both. But the biggest thing is you guys are the shining light to somebody's business. So I think you're more so a business coach than you are just a tech person.
Agree.
You just happen to be a little bit techie is what they call it.
Except me, Brett, right?
And while we talk about that real quick, just want to put this misnomer to it. You're all techie. Everybody's techie, okay? Because y'all walking around with this thing in your hand, and you know how to operate this. The only thing there is the limiting belief that you're not a techie person. You are.
Yes, Brett.
So it's so funny you bring that up, Dora, because I was thinking about it this morning as I was pulling into the office. I was thinking about that moment when I said that at our MCTT summit, because I put my hand lovingly on Dora's shoulder. I'm like, well, she's not the most techie person in the world.
I was like, really? I can turn my phone on.
She probably was a little twisted about that. And now it's evident that she was.
The thing is about the technology is it's meant to be a way to accelerate your productivity. It's meant to be able to help you scale. But our core principles, our systems and models are based on a book. Yeah. And the book was written before the technology. So we've got a copy of it. We always got a copy of it to hand. Oh. So we're implementing, real world strategies that were written. When was it written? It was like 25 years ago.
It's 2001, I believe, is the date on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, 22 years.
And it's funny is I keep hearing mostly people from other companies that have been with Keller Williams at some time or another and keep sarcastically talking about it being an old book and when's I heard the new one's coming out, but it never happens and blah blah blah. The things in that book don't change. No. And it's not just a real estate book either. It's a business book. You can apply those principles to any business.
And your life.
Yes.
And like the red light, green light. But that matters in budgeting, family budgeting.
I'm glad you were talking about that because my wife probably wouldn't be happy if I was out getting leads in my personal life. But anyway.
Yeah, but there's parts of it do relate.
Yeah.
Bringing up this book, I've got all these little sticky notes in here, and that was something I know I've heard. I have actually heard Zach Younger, who is an RTT out in California. He's talked about how he was challenged by, I believe it was Gary or Mark King.
I think was it Gary. I thought it was Dick Dillingham. No,
somebody challenged him to go through and read it and think of technology and how it touches each part of that. And he went through and did it. And I did the same thing. I went through. He was really one of the first RTTs to come aboard. So I went through and copied what he had said, and I got a ton of little sticky notes in here. As you go through it, it touches everything. So we've done a really good job of building MRA into Command. It's there.
Honestly, that would be a good exercise for all tech trainers to do, because I've gone through the book a bazillion times, but I've never gone through it with my tech hat on and made the notes tech wise, because that ties your tech with your business piece from the MREA. So I just wrote that down. So thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And Dora, I know you do this, and I know Ryan does it because he does it for us when he's coaching us. But anytime that I'm training, and this is something, quite honestly, if you're a Keller Williams agent, leadership, no matter what you are in the Keller Williams system, train the presenter, train the trainer advanced workshop, because this is where I learned it. Always teach to the books that we have. So I try to always mention parts of the MREA or shift anytime I'm teaching or working with an agent one-on-one. And that's where we really start to bring in that business coach versus the tech guy or tech person.
The thing is, the core principles are still alive.
Yeah.
So the new Thrive 25, the mission is to create, I believe it's 100,000 millionaire real estate agents by GCI before 2025. So we're still at it. We're still literally on the same mission that's been there for decades now.
Right.
And it doesn't change.
No.
And the technology changes around it, and the ease of being able to achieve certain aspects of this model, have come into play. Command is built upon it. You can tell by its workflows, the way it's, the whole thing's set up.
Well, I would, to that point, I personally feel like opportunities, that workflow, I feel like that is an homage to Gary and the shoebox with the cards. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you're moving the cards around, from stages and phases, and that's what it feels like. But when the book gets updated, the only thing I can really imagine is it's gonna be the same thing, but updated with how technology affects each of those systems.
How it affects lead generation is the lead gen part, is really the only part.
Yeah.
We're going to take the word facts out, and then the book will be updated. So, or newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny because I had people, we've got an issue with our fax line for weeks because Comcast has it messed up or something. And I was floored that people are still looking to fax things. It doesn't happen for years, and then 4 people in a week need to fax and it doesn't work. What were you going to say, Dora?
I was just going to circle back just for a minute, because it occurred to me that I think if I was an OP of a market center, I would write a playbook. Any new person that I was hiring as a leadership, even starting from the front desk all the way up, that the playbook is your course to learn the MREA. Yeah. Right? Because we just say, here, read this, and there's no accountability, there's no follow-up. I'm not saying that no one's doing that, but here's right. Huh?
Look at that trainer of the year.
Well, I just wrote it down, and I'm like, that's where it should start, because I didn't get into that book until years later. And then I don't think I've ever read it front to back. I've read it pieced in, pieced out, pieced in, pieced out. Right. So I think that should be mandatory piece. Like you need to know this book.
Sounds like yours got a new initiative.
Yeah. I think it should be part of the 30, 60, 90 of any agent or employee.
Yeah.
I do like that though. That could be a smart plan.
So, and don't feel too bad, Dora, that it took you a while. I was with the company for 10 years before I actually read the whole thing.
Okay.
And how I did that was I hate to read. That's just me. I absolutely hate to read. I would have watched 400 videos on that book if it read it to me.
We could do that, Brett. There's an audio version.
In Peter's voice, though. We'll have Peter do the voiceover.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Chapter 1.
I love it. That's awesome. So
Peter, are
Ryan,
you a licensed agent?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all of us are licensed agents on here, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
So think about it. Here's my question to all of you. I already know my answer, and I'll give you my answer before I let you guys answer. So how many of you, when you got into the business, just started following the models and systems first, and then after you got those mastered, you went and started molding it around what you wanted your business to look like? Because I'll tell you what, I started and I read the book right away, and I listened to it and tried to do exactly what it said, but I got creative and started doing all these other things. And then when I finally got it hitting me upside the head, I decided, you know what, maybe I should just follow what other people do first, and then I'll do my own thing.
you hadn't earned the right to be creative yet, have you?
I had not.
Or at that time.
My business got a lot better once I started doing that. And I looked at it and say, okay, now that I'm following these model systems, where can I improve?
Mhm.
And then focused on that. And business got a lot better when I started doing it that way.
So
Anybody else?
mastery first. You got to master it first, and then you, at that point, you've earned the right to get creative with the system and models. But still, I don't think you get too creative. You just need to get creative enough to adapt it for exactly what it is you're trying to do in your business. But you got to master the systems and models first.
Yeah.
So I'll answer that question that Ryan posed, and honestly, by the time I had read the book, I was already so deep in the market center tech trainer role that I haven't been doing that much business. Although I'm still, by Keller Williams standards, still a capper. I mean, I didn't think I did much business at all last year, and somehow I still did almost 3 million in volume. So
Good job.
yeah. But so I haven't really been able to apply the book to my real estate business because I was already deep in this role.
Yeah. So every market center is different. Like in my case, I don't compete with the agents. So my role is to help them lead generate. And I think one of the authentic parts of the way I decided to approach that, and my OP, was that I shouldn't sell because I'm actually talking to leads and I then pass those leads. So it's like the teamerage model. So when you're running a teamerage model, then, you know, I don't compete. So the models and systems for me personally in sales, I started out the opposite way around. I was Mr. Creative.
Yeah.
And then swung around to the fact that I'm actually trying to reinvent a very, very clever wheel here that's already been done. So why am I even doing that? And now it's core based on models and systems, and I work backwards from there now. But I think that's just the arrogance of youth, if you like, when you're inexperienced at something. You think, well, I can do this, and I'm going to do it my way.
Right.
And I don't want to listen to some guy with a fax machine and a mustache. Right. So, and that's what happens. So you've got to actually read the book.
Yeah.
And I did it the same as you, Dora. I have not read it from front to back. I have dipped all over the place into the book, and it's covered in Post-it notes and highlighter marks and curly pages on the end.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you have not got a copy, then where do you get it from?
So you can actually get them from Keller Inc.
Keller Inc.
It's such a cute little name for the URL there. It's Keller Inc., not incorporated, but INK for the ink it takes to write the books.
Yeah.
And this is actually the leadership edition that any agent can get to. You don't just have to be a leader to be able to get it, because it's not like there's some kind of, paywall where you have to put in your Keller Williams credentials so it knows whether you're a leader or not. You can actually get this. And I love the leadership edition.
Me too.
Because it's tabbed for the sections, it's spiral bound, so you can flip through it. And I'll tell you what I like about this. The pages are much thicker. When I was going through my book club, I didn't highlight the pages in my book because the first time I did that, the highlighter bled through like the next 2 pages because they're super thin, but they're thick pages in this edition. And I believe this one's $40.
It is.
You know what the best part
Leadership's a little bit more.
You're going to say this.
The front page.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Ryan.
So I can sit there, and if somebody's saying I'm having an issue with this or an issue with that, I can look at it and say, okay, so the diagnosis is that they're trying to grow their business to take it to the next level. So let's go to section 10 of the organizational models, or here's a prescription for an MREA agent is the organizational model as well for MREA.
It's your problem with your prescription on how to fix it. Yeah, that's my favorite, Ryan.
Makes it so simple.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a menu or something. I clearly have never seen that. Brett apparently didn't start at the very first page.
Yeah. It's
Well,
the best part. It
The
makes
one
it
that-
makes
and
it
there's
easier.
laminated,
Yeah.
Yeah.
laminated page.
It's the thickest page, Brett.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
wow. Brett moment.
do you know what though? When I got that as a team leader, that was super helpful because I was all over the place and didn't really have everything together. And so I would do that, right? I would look at that and be like, okay, so what should they do here? Because I would panic for an answer or something, and I'm like, okay, wait, like that's how I learned. And so I would just go straight to that. It was so much easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. I learned something new today.
Good.
Yeah, good.
So Ryan, let me ask you a question. Can you tell us a little bit about your regional tech trainer role and like what your normal day looks like? And because you're kind of like us, but you work directly with the regional leadership, correct?
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I guess technically my role is to be a liaison between KWRI and the region. So what that means is KWRI gives directives and what exactly they're wanting to do at the time to us so that we can come back to the region, talk to our leadership, and then talk to the leadership in the market centers. So what I really think of my job is to understand what we want to do and then come to the market center tech trainers and make sure that I download my brain into their brain and make sure they're able to effectively go out and do their job. But in reality, what I'm spending most of my time is just working with you guys, making sure the leadership has the tools necessary. And it kind of goes back to when we were talking about MCTT summits. When I say I'm taking the directive is there because we're there to serve you guys and make sure that you have the tools necessary to do your job. And
you get hands on too, right? Because like right now we've got a little issue with just one of the systems with one of our top senior agents, and Ryan's looking into that.
Mm-hmm.
So the RTT role does sometimes end up with servicing agents as well by supporting the MCTT. So you've definitely got a value for each agent in the region as well.
Yeah, it's almost like doing the MCTT role for however many market centers in a region has, because if there's not a market center tech trainer in there, guess who's doing it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and our region, again, because it's so close knit, it's not always just on me because we have 34 market centers, so going through those 34 market centers and trying to do them all by myself would be impossible. It's these guys who are really driving it, and I can kind of focus on the ones that need a lot more attention. So those people who don't have that market center tech trainer role in their market center, I can kind of lean on that and also say, hey, Brett, I got a lot on my plate. Can you take this one for me? And he's happy to do it. You can't always do that. And I understand in some areas you can't, but in our group, I know that I have no problem doing that.
I have to say, Ryan, you've been an absolute blessing for me because I'm looking after 900 plus agents with the help of the rest of the leadership, the body of leadership in each market center. But when a problem arises or there's a coaching opportunity arises, I've come to you to find a quick route to a solution so that we can get things done in a timely manner. And you've always, without fail, been able to pull a resource and say, this is where you need to go look, or this is the solution. So the backstop is really important. I'd feel very alone without it, I have to say.
So I agree, Peter. I think the thing that I like the most is that you empower us to be better and better leaders, better coaches, and better trainers. And that's my favorite part from you.
Thank you. One of the things, and Ryan, I'm going to have you speak a little bit about this, but one of the things that I think is unique to our region, if there's other regions out there that have it, please don't be offended. But it's something that it's part of the story that we need to tell. And that is our TLC.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Ryan, can you talk a little bit about the TLC?
Sure. Actually, where I got that idea is actually from Donnie Brookman, who's our leader of our labs. And he had discussed it with me in a conversation. I'm like, I actually like that idea. So I went and implemented it right away. So I don't know if other people are actually doing it, but it was an idea he had. And I just looked at our 4 legs that we particularly focus on, which is going to be retention, training, and what was the other one? Retention training, education, recruiting, and then we also have culture as a big part of ours. We have that fifth one. But I wanted to put together these chairs specifically for that, because what I also notice is there's a lot on my plate sometimes that I take for granted. There's a lot there, and I kind of try and take it all on. But I understand from a leadership position that you can't take everything on yourself, and you stunt other people's growth if you try to do so. So to me, the ALC is not only or the TLC in our case, is not just the way for me to just offload some work. It's more of a growth position to allow these people to accelerate their career. I mean, those people are getting more one-on-one. For example, the training chair. Ariel helped me with it last year, and he did an awesome job. We worked together on making sure that all the training was put together, that all the ads for it were put together, flyers were made, that the people were scheduled, and that's a lot of work to put just that together. And that's once a month that we do that. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, preparing for it, being advanced. And it's not just the flyers. Think of all those people that come on those calls. You got to make sure that they feel welcome to come on those calls, that they feel ready for that call, that they have a timely invitation to come on the call. They know how to get on the call. So there's a lot that goes into that. So those people are helping with all those little things and gaining those skills as they do it. And same thing with the culture chair. That person, they're focused mostly on making sure that the culture of our community is good. So Dora was a culture chair. So she's kind of like the mom of the group, where she's making sure everybody's okay. And she's that sweet, nice mom, not the one that's yelling at you all the time. But the one who
but she holds you accountable though.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody's got their seat, and they've done a great job of it. Do we have room for growth? We always have room for growth. We can do these a lot better. But the people who took those positions and really embraced them, they saw a big jump forward, and I think our group saw a big jump forward. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. We built a group from the core beginning, right? And it grew and it grew and grew. One of the reasons it grew is because, just like any other relationship, if you're trying to date someone and you see them once a month, how strong is that relationship? It's not going to be very strong. Chances are it'll dwindle and not be anything at all. But if you're together,
if they're really clingy, I probably can't do more.
Yeah. But if you're together every single day, like we were through COVID, and we couldn't be in person, then the best thing is we were on Zoom. They're meeting every single day. So we built a really good, strong foundation. We started with Shift. We went into MRA. We went into all these books and really focused on that with a little bit of time that we had. But now we're at a point where that world is kind of in the past now, and now we're in this world. So what do we do now as leaders to try and stay together? Well, we continue our calls. The 30 minutes in the morning, it's not a lot of time. So we continue that. That's been a big thing. But then we find these other initiatives and things to work together on so that we're all learning together and moving together. And that's the challenge right now, is trying to keep everybody on the same page, because people come and go and they're just not on the same page. So these small groups, to go from a big region where there's 35 people, kind of goes like the sticky churches. Like, find those groups. Those are your groups right there. Your different pairs. Yeah, your different tribes, and let them focus on what they will focus on. So these people in those chairs, their goal is to next turn around and say, okay, who wants to help me with this? They don't have to do it all themselves. They need to learn leadership skills. And the best leadership skill you can have is not do it all yourself. And sometimes that's the opposite. We think we have to do it all ourselves. We don't. Nobody succeeds alone.
I think, and I'm gonna bring what you said back to relating it to an agent's business too. So we've gotten very intentional about our South Florida group of MCTTs under your leadership and our calls and all of that. And you said that, is there still room to grow? Yes, absolutely. But you know what? If we weren't being intentional, we wouldn't know what the heck was going on, what we needed to grow, what was what. And we bring that back to an agent's business. If they're not tracking their numbers, if they're not being intentional about aspects of their business, they don't know what they need to work on to have the business that they want to, have a career worth having and business worth owning and legacies worth leaving, right? They don't know all that if you're not being intentional about it. So the intentionality is what allows you to really focus on the success and failures, or you wouldn't even know what was going on to begin with.
And
so, I mean,
I was listening
yeah,
to what you just said, and the fact that you just spit all that out just so beautifully like that means, guess what he's doing? He's turning around and he's using that same language with the agents, and he's keeping that culture alive, not just in our group, but outside of our group. And that's the important part.
You have to practice what you preach.
Yeah,
Simple
absolutely.
and it becomes ingrained.
Leadership, right?
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw this up here because I spaced out on the comments, and apparently I didn't enunciate well when I was talking about the MREA and the Shift book. So thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Orsini. I appreciate that. Okay, so Ryan, same questions that Dora got, put you a little bit on the spot here. What's your favorite part of your role?
Honestly, it's going to be working with the market center tech trainers. Obviously, I mean, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, but just pouring into them and seeing how I can assist them. And it sounds silly, but I love technology. I love all that stuff, but I'm a nerd when it comes to all these books. I mean, when I was in high school, I was 16 years old, and you know what book they were making us read was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey.
Oh, that's awesome.
You mentioned that at our summit, and I'm like, that's awesome. I wish my high school would have had me read that book.
Yeah. I don't think we read my high school.
What were we doing? We were doing cider with Rosie or something. That's what we were.
Dora was like shucking corn, I think.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, I love that book. It really helped me define parts of my life. And I did talk about it at our summit. I was talking about the fact that at different parts of my life, I've been able to reapply that book over and over and over. But it's very similar to this same book right here of the MREA, where you're at different parts of your business and you can go and look at it and reapply it. So there's a lot of the same roles. Leadership is probably working with people and helping lead and helping develop people. That's probably the real answer, is helping develop others. Because I've told you before, that's my big why, is just helping people and helping people develop.
Well, Dora mentioned it earlier. I mean, you've been instrumental in so many of us growing as leaders. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've talked about Ariel. He got the job on a probationary status, and look at what he's done. I mean, he built a boot camp that we all want to rip off and duplicate, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing, the leadership that's been grown from this community. So
I want to add one more thing, because I think this goes deeper than just that too, because yes, I love working with you guys and developing you, but I take that home too. I have to develop my kids. Mm-hmm. Like, my kids are probably the even more important part, to make sure they grow up as good human beings and they have their own leadership skills and they do it. And I've had to catch myself sometimes where I want to do things for them, and I'm realizing if I do this for them, they're not going to learn. And I need to focus on, again, growing them into leaders and doing that. So all this that we do is not just go to work and ignore the rest of it. It's go to work and make sure we focus on God, family, and business. So it's all three of them together. And that's what drew me to Keller Williams, because I was an independent brokerage before that. And then I came to Keller Williams, and I got really drawn in from that. And then being able to take this leadership stuff seriously and really focus on that, it's blossomed. It's been fun.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Okay, so on the flip side, what's your least favorite part?
Honestly,
I'm curious.
and you're probably at the leadership office, so just say what you can and maintain your job security.
Just whisper it. No one will ever know.
My least favorite part is just sometimes not being able to have breakthroughs with people. It gets really frustrating because I work really, really hard, and there's some people I just can't get through to sometimes, and I really want to, and I keep on trying different ways of doing it, and I want to see them grow, and I can't see the growth in them, and I don't give up on them. I try to approach them through other people, because if I can't influence them, then I try and find somebody who can. Mm-hmm. And that just gets a little bit frustrating. And that's a me thing. That's not really the job, but it's part of the job, because part of my job is to be helping influence others, right? So
Yeah.
I can't do it. That's really, really, really frustrating. But that's
I love that answer because it's bringing us right back to the business coach that we are in our roles, because we've all done that, right?
Yeah.
We've vented to each other about issues we've had with agents that we're trying to help that just seem to be their own roadblock. They just can't get out of their own way. And again, I think it goes back to the creativity thing that we were talking about. People want to get creative before they've earned the right to get that way. So one of the most frustrating parts for me is when we have a brand new agent and the systems and the models and the book, everything is put in front of them and they're just off on a tangent trying to do stuff. And they've never, like, the real estate career is brand new to them. And nobody's saying that you're not smart enough to do what you want to do. You're not intelligent enough to do, like, nobody's trying to stifle them as a person. We just want to set you up for success.
Yeah.
I mean, can anybody think of anybody here? Can we think of anybody that got into real estate totally from a totally different field and just did it all on their own and found amazing success? I can't think of anybody that didn't follow some kind of system or model and master it. I mean, even if I look at
Gary Keller, he wasn't like, he was successful, but he wasn't like, he didn't just jump into it and do it all right.
But something that a lot of people don't know about Gary, though, is, and this is where Gary probably had an advantage for that. Gary actually has a real estate degree. Like, he went to college for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why, but even Gary will tell you that he's had to fail forward more times than he can probably count. Yeah. Right. I mean, he hired an amazing Mo Anderson and then fired himself because that was her directive. Right.
I'm going to throw one more out there that I have a hard time with, and that's going to be the we are technology trainers, and I don't feel like my presentation skills are the best, and it's something I'm constantly working on. And that's something I have to keep on sharpening and building upon. I see others up there that teach, and I want to aspire to be like them someday, be able to be up there. But my personality is more of a serious personality at times when it comes to business, so it doesn't really fit into the entertainment side of it. So I'm not going to get up there and be all showy, and I'm not a high I, that's for sure. So I watch people like James Shaw, and he's a very good presenter. I watch Mark Olish so you're talking about the scary part, like, I'm in the region, right? Don't be quiet. But it's not that. It's actually the exact opposite of that. The people that are in this regional office, I could open that off door and I would never have to worry about it because I don't have a bad thing to say about them. Yeah. And even if I did, I wouldn't say it. But
we have an amazing
but we do. We have a really good team. So I got Mark, who's right next on the other wall of me typically, and sometimes just hearing him and listening to him talk, I learned a ton from that. The guy, I went and just did Shift into Overthrive class yesterday in Miami with him. And every single time I watched him talk, I learned something. And I put that in my toolbox and started learning from him and learning more. And even sitting in the airport with him, just listening to the way he interacts with people, I'm just like, wow, this guy's really got it down. So for me, I try to feed to you guys, but I'm constantly absorbing. And then I tried to regurgitate it back to you guys and give you some of those steps. That guy is an amazing human being, and I don't want to ever see him go anywhere because I want to continue to learn from him. And then Nikki is the same way. She's our regional owner. She is extremely smart, extremely well.
Yes, she is
good at what she does, and she knows how to value people. She does value this role probably more than anybody else in the region.
I firmly believe that. I mean, she is always singing our praises. I mean, just at the inspirational luncheon that we had, right? I mean, she brought us up there. So
she's we definitely on calls anytime, but she's awesome. And then we've got her assistant Tamara here. We've got our all of them are just amazing people. I don't have to worry about my back, which is the same thing. Hopefully you guys feel in your community. You guys don't have to feel it. So it always talks about it comes from your leadership. And even though they're leadership, they're servant leadership. They're here to serve you. So,
yeah. So talking of servant leadership, what for the agents who are listening to this, what examples of questions should an agent be asking their MCTT in order to get the business coaching that they need? What can an MCTT offer to an agent, and how should the agent go about getting those services from the MCTT, because the problem that I'm facing right now is that I'm seen as the troubleshooter.
Right.
So agents come to me when they're, suffering a degree of anxiety or distress. They've got a problem. They want to get it solved quickly. Somebody's disconnected. Somebody's not working. They can't get DocuSign to do what it's meant to do. But there's so much more to offer. But I feel that we need to educate the agents to let them know about what we do offer.
Yeah. So
what would you say?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. And then the others can chime in too. But I think it's one, like Dora and I were kidding about, but it's true. It happens. We get introduced as the tech person of the office immediately, right? And then again, taking what we've learned from Train the Presenter and Train the Trainer Advanced Workshop, we have to educate, just like we're always telling our agents that you constantly have to remind your sphere of influence. You have to stay top of mind with them. We have to remind our agents of our validity.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been licensed for years and you've practiced real estate every time. And I'm guilty of this. I don't do it. Not every time, not nearly as consistently as I should, but we should be giving our introduction for every single class that we teach in the Market Center and reminding them that we do have experience as an agent, right? So that helps to try to, hopefully that starts to shift their mind into seeing us as a business coach and not just the person that's going to help them with their tech problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
talking about our experiences.
Well, so I wrote this down earlier when we were talking, and one of the things that I learned from Train the Presenter with Zach, and then with Dick Dillingham and Holly Prescott, is that I wasn't telling my story, so people didn't know. Like, we had an agent come over from Remax, and he talks to me all the time. I help him with command, all these things, but until I actually told him who I was, what I've done in my past, that's when I got validity from him. And so light bulb went off, and I'm like, they keep telling me this and Train the Presenter, you have to tell people who you are. And whatever Ryan was saying just a minute ago, and then whatever you said just a minute ago, Peter, it all starts from the top, right? It starts from the top and it flows down. So if they're not introducing us as whoever is doing the walkthrough in the Market Center, it starts there. How are they introducing us? How are we on the recruiting packages or the, onboarding packages? How are we being introduced? It starts there. It starts with us. And Peter, maybe it's when you start introducing people, here's my bio of me. I want them to know that I'm a business coach, not just an de-escalation department. Right. Mm-hmm. So it starts from our team. And so
on that note, Dora, at our new agent orientation, there was always a DFI or agent services that would put that slideshow together. Mm-hmm. And I think the descriptions of each role were kind of collectively, it probably came from the team leader and MCA originally. Mm-hmm. I took it upon myself to rewrite my description on that so that it was clear. And I have an awesome leadership team around me. They did it so that it was done. And they didn't have any problem with me changing it so that it's very specific to what it is that I'm here for and what I do. So if you have that kind of opportunity as an MCTT in your Market Center, let them know from new agent orientation. Put business coach that uses technology as a tool. I mean, that's what it is, right? They hear tech, they hear command, and they immediately put up a wall. We're business coaches that use technology as a tool, because technology is one of those tools of your business that is going to help you find the most success, because it's leverage.
Absolutely. Right? What about you, Ryan? Then, what do you think the agents should be seeking out?
So the question was, what should the agents be seeking out? They should be seeking out to find what the holes are in your business. If that's what the question they're asking, what question are they asking is, where are the holes in my business? That's what we want to gear them towards. But the problem is they're not going to ask that question unless we do exactly what they just said, which is make sure they understand that that's what they're here for. So it's really difficult because a tech audit will take care of that. Where are the holes in my business? Well, let's see if we can save you some money. Let's see if we can save you some time. Let's see if you're even following any models and systems. So that's the best question.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of this podcast that we're doing right now is to give agents kind of an under the hood look at the world of what that we're living in, and see if they can then relate to what we do so that they can then use us as a better resource.
Well,
So,
Dora, Brett, you both said that it comes from top, right? I've said it. It goes back to the top. And this is an initiative I've been really pushing you guys. We have to be the ones who are modeling the behavior that we want. You want them using command, you want them following those models and systems. Guess what we have to do?
We need to do it.
Follow model system so that we're sending out smart plans. We're sending out tasks. We have tasks in our pipeline. We're making those calls, talking to them, having those conversations. So really, they just need to hear it from us. Because if we're doing our care calls to them, talking to them, then we are writing our own story. We are talking to them. Problem is, how many people are actually doing it? If we had more people doing care calls, we probably have better retention.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a smart plan for that.
Yeah, there is a smart plan for that. You can
So
also go very far back to the beginning, like you were saying in that walkthrough. And if you had a smart plan going from the time somebody joined your market center that was introducing them to the market center and telling them like through a video what your role is and what to do, guess what? It makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So we have that without the video. So that's my initiative this year is to add the video of all of us.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the smart
emotional proximity. The video really gets you a lot closer in that emotional proximity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the end of the show, but Ryan, I wanted to point something out because you said something a few minutes ago. My biggest takeaway from our MCTT summit, when you asked for our ahas and takeaways and everything, obviously it was for the material. I can tell you've been intentional and you've been working on your presentation skills because you were a far improved presenter during that day. I thought it was noticeable. It was awesome.
Must have been the jacket.
It's probably Dora's fault because she stayed late with me the night before and made sure we got a chance to run through all that stuff. So thank you, Dora.
So what? Just to kind of wrap up, I just want to encourage agents to seek out the support that they need, and even if they don't know, like if you're at the very beginning of your career and you don't really know what you need, having a consultation with your MCTT can lay out a roadmap for your first weeks and months and journey into real estate and set you off with the right principles and the right foundation to make sure that your career has the best chance of taking off quickly, rather than having to have that common 1-2 year lull before things start to move. We can help speed you up and get things moving up more quickly. So I just want to encourage any agents that are in my market centers, feel free to reach out. I'm available. Now, I've always said I'm available all the time. It even includes weekends. If someone's got a problem and they're looking for a solution and it's critical on a transaction going through and a problem needs to be resolved, I'm there for them because I've been there.
That's
and
awesome.
I know what it's like not to have that support. So
say, yo, I'll solve it.
That's right. Yeah, that's down in Wellington over there with Dora. That's Vanilla Iceland over there. But yeah, that's the important thing. So wrapping up and kind of bringing the theme together, is the MCTT the tech person or the business coach? I think we've made it clear that we're both, but I think we're more. And thank you for calling me out on my bold principles there. And it's more the business coach side of things, right? And we ourselves need to value ourselves in that mindset that we're the business coach and we're utilizing technology as the tool because that's our expertise. The team leaders have their expertise for how they coach the agents through their business, and then the technology is the tool that we use as our expertise to coach them through their business. So everybody, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this. It's the first episode that we've had not one amazing guest, but two. So thanks for joining us. Any final thoughts, Dora?
If you're an agent watching, don't be afraid to ask us. Don't be afraid. Just ask more questions. I'll tell you what I love about Mark Olish. He asks questions. He always asks a question. So, and that's just how you find out. So, and we're here, right? We're here to help each other in all the market centers. So,
Ryan?
Yeah, it's true about Mark. I sat next to him yesterday at the airport, and some lady was near us, and he's just He's like, "Hey, weren't you on the flight with us earlier this morning?" And just from that one question turned into like a million more questions for it. And he ended up
So
finding
good at
out
it.
that her husband is actually a commercial real estate agent in our area, and we'll set up a meeting with him. So I thought that was pretty neat. Just watching go through that process. But
I love that.
my big thing to put out there is that technology can be really scary for a lot of agents. Okay, and they're really, really, really scared of it. And again, I go back to the fact, you guys are using phones. The phone, great. You're an expert at that. Guess what? These guys, they're experts at command. So go to them, and they know how to make it less complicated. Because what I find is most agents overcomplicate it, because there are some agents that want all these shiny little things added onto it. So we add that to make them happy, but you don't have to use every piece of that. Let these guys show you how to use it so that it works for you and your business, and it's not scary.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And thanks for the comments in the Facebook group.
Yep. So one of our comments was, even as a seasoned agent, I know I need help with all of this. And I mean, that's fantastic. Admitting that you need the help is the first way to get to us so that we can help you, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Dora, Ryan, thank you so much for being our guest today. And we will catch you on the next episode next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.